Nobody's your own fucking business.
Internet, hello ya lovelies. We are back in studio after a very rare week away. Literally all the years of this podcast, we've hit every week, and then for the first time, a perfect storm of myself being out of town and Jake moving and setting up a house has caused a week off.
In fairness, we have taken a week off.
Yeah.
We've just made sure there was something for the feed, like a bonus. We just were so busy. We couldn't even record an intro and outro to something from
Which
Patreon.
is impressive. Like, that's a level of busy, unforetold.
Well, yours is a good busy.
Yeah, I mean, I got to leave LA for a minute. But just in case you guys don't know who I am, this is KoiCast. I'm Koi Jandro. This is a podcast about pop culture. It's about comic books. It's about me liking most people. And I am, in fact, a Bostonian, and that's where I was. I got to jaunt over to Boston for a week, so I'll talk about that a little bit. But mainly it's a pop culture podcast. So if you're new to the show, we dive into everything going on in the world of movies and TV with a bit of a comic book lens, because I grew up reading comic books, and I find that though they are popular, the actual books themselves are not nearly as popular. So I've got a unique perspective as a zealot of the funny pages. But yeah, Jake and I have had a crazy week. I'm so tired.
Yeah, you're a little fatigued.
Dude, I just like...
I mean, how was your trip back home?
The day I got back.
To the worst city...
Oh, the best city in the world?
No, let me say. The worst outlined... How's it work? No, outlaid? What is it? Laid out. That was
there
what I
it
came up
is.
with.
I was like, what starts
the worst laid out city in the country?
It is the first city. So therefore, its design has changed, and one-way cobblestone streets are complicated.
Every single road leads to the same place. There are nothing is east. No, nothing is east or west or north or south. Everything leads. It's like a butthole.
Yeah.
It's just lines all go to the one spot on the coast.
I like a good butthole. All roads lead to Rome.
It's a one-sided. It's like the flag from Community.
Yeah.
It's a one-sided. Yeah.
All roads lead to butthole, and that's okay. It's a beautiful city. It was great, man. We're both like very much East Coast kids.
You went for a friend's wedding.
I did. Yes. A friend since fourth grade, like one of those like ride or die friends, and it was such an Irish wedding. It was so beautiful and like so charming, and it was. We've talked about our aversions to an aggressively religious mindset. This was literally no Jesus, and it was so nice to just like be at a wedding that I didn't
literally no Jesus.
Jesus.
That is a great name for a band. Literally no Jesus.
I didn't have to stand and sit a ton and shit. Like I got to just like vibe for love instead of some like fucking archaic bullshit. It was great, man. I got to like see my friends fall in love like more in front of my eyes.
Maybe this is just a difference of our friends. I can't remember the last time Jesus was even mentioned at a wedding.
Dude, I thought that was the standard now, but then I went to 2 weddings like right before the plague, and it was so Jesus-y. And that's like, these are friends that aren't like even in the religion world, but their parents were. So like when people
is a lot of that.
Yeah, like when your friends aren't, and you're like, what am I doing here? So I got to go. It was really cool. Like the bride designed the arbor herself. And like all the place settings were like really like nature based, and it was like really, it was really pretty and earthy.
Nice.
And then they literally changed the wedding. I don't dance. And at one point they noticed I wasn't dancing, so they put on mindless self-indulgence. So we moshed. So there was a bride and groom mosh to keep me in. It was very precious. So it was really special that they like made sure everyone felt welcome to the point of moshing with me in their wedding gown. So yeah, the husband, the groom, and I have known each other since 4th grade. So I was like 11. So that's incredible. Like 20 years of friendship, and he's easily my most hopeless romantic friend. So seeing him get married was extra special, and the whole trip was great.
Was it like in your hometown proper, or was it just like in Boston?
So I went to Boston and stayed with another friend, actually one of the other weddings.
Right.
And then his wedding was in Western Mass, which I hadn't been to in 10 years.
Got it.
Conveniently, my little brother now lives in Western Mass, so he was able to come pick me up, drive me the 2.5 hours, because Mass is wicked wide.
Yeah.
But I hadn't been over there, and there's I found didn't find. My little brother showed me dinosaur footprints. I never knew that dinosaurs were even in Western Mass. Like, it's not something I always thought they were like Utah and Montana and shit.
Well, you know, we've tried to keep it hush hush because we're embarrassed. We're embarrassed by that accent. You don't want to see a dinosaur with that accent.
That's wicked piss of foots, kid. I mean, but it was cool to see like dino tracks.
There's a reason why everybody in the TV show Dinosaurs sounds like they're from New York.
That's fair.
Because you don't want to hear a Boston dinosaur.
Jeremy Renner's The Town coming out of a T-Rex. I'd love that. Who's Kyle going to take? But yeah, I had a great week and got to wander around Boston proper. Got to go to Newbury Comics, which always means a lot to me. Got to see, I went and saw Black Phone with one of my best friends since childhood, which was really special. Then came back, did the premiere. But the day I came back, I had a 23-hour day because it was the longest day of the year, it was the solstice. And I woke up at 4 a.m. to get to the airport to get on standby to make it back for the premiere.
And did you get into any issues with the travel? Because I'm hearing that like right now is the worst time
I was at the airport for 5 hours. To get home.
Just to get home.
So I was there at 4 a.m. till 9 a.m. Longer. I caught the 11 a.m. flight, but I found out I had it at 9 a.m. So I got up at 4 a.m. And then I flew back 3 hours, like the time changed 3 hours. Of course, yes. And then I was up until 2 a.m. again.
Right. In the new time frame.
So technically I was up 27 hours. Right. Because I was up 23 real hours.
It's absurd.
Dude, it was so rough.
It's not healthy.
I had to cancel. I usually do reactions on Real Rejects for Miss Marvel, but it was starting at 2 a.m., which would have been my 5 a.m.
Yeah, that's
and I'd
absurd.
been up. So I was like, I can't physically drive, guys. Like I would have crashed. And also me on camera would have been like a puddle of amoeba, like just, Miss Marvel's great.
Podcast where it's at. Nobody cares what you look like.
I looked like reheated microwaved hell. But yeah, so it was a really important trip. I got to see a lot of really good friends. I'm supposed to go back for another wedding in September, but I just realized it's the same weekend as D23, which is going to be one of the biggest work weekends of the year.
Right.
So I've got to weigh my friendships worth my work, which is what life is. How was yours, man?
How was my trip back to Boston?
How was your trip back to Boston? Looking at a dinosaur footprint and seeing your friend at a wedding.
I'm trying to think of how Boston, how you would say dinosaur.
Dinosaur kid.
Dinosaur. Because I feel like I automatically dip into the Long Island.
Oh, of course.
But we do end. There is some crossover in Boston.
There's a Venn diagram.
And New York in the way that we just get rid of R's at the end of words. But you, meaning all of people from Boston, add like an I. So like there's a weird thing there.
There has to be a little.
Or I don't know.
Also, like I got my accent back wicked bad when I was there.
Well, you've said wicked 6 times already.
Dude, it's aggressive. But like while I was there, I kept hearing video because I was like filming stuff. Right. And I was like, who is that? That's me speaking. Yeah, and it's so insane how quickly you fall back into it.
Right. Well, while you're away, we have officially gotten out of the old place in its entirety, which is absolute chaos. But juggling, work and gigs and moving is just a lot. And so, not much has changed since you've been here last, even though it was 2 weeks ago. You'd think that maybe we'd be settled in more. It's mostly the same. It's mostly the same. But hey, we're day by day.
Making moves.
Day by day.
Making moves. You guys haven't been in the movie theater. We discussed my walk in.
I was very happy to find out that Alexandra is interested in seeing Top Gun, which I did not think was the case. But I think she's heard enough now where she said to me out of nowhere, I don't remember what we were listening to or watching, but there was some reference to it. And she said like, man, I hope that we don't miss that in theaters. I thought, wait a minute, I didn't know that this was an option. Cause she's always been no, fuck Tom Cruise. And I get it. But,
that's part of the news today. I'm glad to hear that. That's specifically Alexander wanting to see Top Gun. I wrote it down as part of the news right now. I was like, I heard that legend.
You knew about it. So yeah, no, we haven't gone yet, but we also, haven't bathed properly.
Fair. It's been a whole journey. I didn't know.
No, literally, we painted the bathroom, and you can't shower for 24 hours prior or after. So it's just been a lot.
It's great. The girl I'm seeing, we were supposed to go to this event, like a work event.
Before you get on the story, not a great segue when I talk about not bathing and you say, well, this girl that I'm seeing.
You know what? It was a Top Gun tangent. I was about to land on how these things parallel. I was about to say her wanting to see Top Gun reminds me of, we had a work event I was bringing her to, like we were going to go together, and then the work event canceled like within an hour of it was supposed to leave, as happens. Yeah. It was a COVID thing. And then literally the first text I get back is like, oh, that's a bummer. Next text was, do you want us to go see Top Gun? And I was like, this is perfect. This is how you date. This is correct.
Fantastic.
That's love. So I saw Top Gun Maverick for the 4th time. And my God, is it perfect. So I'm really excited for you to see it because I've spent 8 hours in it.
We can't wait.
So speaking of Top Gun, let's get into the news. And my first news story is Top Gun has crossed $1 billion with a B. Top Gun is the 49th film in the history of cinema to make $1 billion, the first of Tom Cruise's movies to ever make $1 billion. I think 5th or 6th of Paramount's to ever make. The $49 billion movies, 25 of them are Disney. Over half of the movies.
And how many of those are like within the past 15 years.
Oh, all
too,
of them.
Because that is a big part of it. Like they're all Disney because Disney owns everything. And
so it's crazy.
Movies are way more expensive
Oh,
too.
100%. And it's insane if you look at the billion. The first one ever was Titanic.
Right.
97.
Right, yeah.
The next one wasn't until Return of the King. 03?
Titanic was...
It didn't make it the first one. The re-releases got
I was going to say, yeah. And there was no special screenings. Or was that one of the first big IMAX?
Actually, I think IMAX, I think it did make it by the end of its run. I think it made $2 billion by the end of its re-releases. Right. I think that's what it is.
But I think that like, I guess what I'm getting at is like, what was IMAX prominent in?
It was early
Titanic?
days.
Okay. Because I'm trying to think of whether or not it was like, oh yeah, you got to go see it in IMAX if that was a thing.
So in speaking your point though, the crazy thing is 97 was Titanic.
Right.
The next one wasn't for another 6 years till 03.
Sure.
The next one after that was the third Pirates of the Caribbean.
Right.
So another 2 years.
Right.
The next one after that was The Dark Knight in 08. So the first four ever were 97 to 08.
Right.
And then since 08.
21 or however many you said. Did you say 25?
It said 49. So
49. I'm sorry. Why did I think 25?
So 45 since 08.
That's absurd.
So we literally didn't have one. And then look, movie tickets and everything else, like it's fascinating. And out of those 45, 25 of them are Disney.
Right.
Insane. So yeah, I was just looking at those statistics, and I usually don't talk box office all that much, but like with the world reopening, we did talk box office a lot at the jump of this podcast because it was about things moving in darkness. So I want to say the positive side. Also in big historic box office weekend news, Elvis and Top Gun duked it out all weekend for the number one spot, meaning like Top Gun was it's the fourth or fifth weekend fighting a brand new release, and both of them cleared, well, almost 30 million, 31.1 for Elvis and 29.6 for Top Gun, clearing that billion. Now, the reason this is historic is because 23.3 million for Black Phone and 26.4 million for Jurassic Park means that this is the first weekend since 2018, not even 19, not 20, that 4 films made over $20 million. This is the first time the box office looks like it's actually recovering, because 4 films means like, oh, it's not the Marvel movie or the DC movie. Like, this is the movies.
I guess, wait, was Black Phone one of the 4?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's
3
fantastic.
indies.
I'm very happy.
Effectively. I'm sorry to call Top Gun an indie, but an original thing adjacent.
It's a sequel, but it's a franchise, though.
I consider franchise the third,
no,
personally.
It's an existing IP. In fact, the second something becomes a 2, it's a franchise.
Touche.
So
an indie, a biopic, and a sequel.
Right.
Would not be normally celebrated, but considering it was a mid-budget sequel, a mid to low-budget biopic, and a very low-budget $18 million, it's a big for Blumhouse, but Black Phone cost $18 million and made 23.3, which means with its international pull of another 18, it is cleared. It's already in the profit, which is great. It's also exceptional. I really love the Black Phone. I am not a horror movie guy. I don't like to feel those feelings, but they made it so lean and mean that like I liked feeling the catharsis of, okay, this is what it's like to be truly terrified. It didn't have the torture porn element. It didn't have it was a smart story. It didn't feel like it was dumb in its horror. It felt earned that I was afraid. Yeah. So I highly recommend The Black Phone if you guys haven't seen it. So 4 movies clearing 20 million, first time in 4 years, approaching 5 years, makes me very happy. I really want to see Elvis. I haven't seen it yet, but I hear it's like maximalist glory because it's Baz Luhrmann.
I just have so little interest in Elvis as a person that I go, the Baz Luhrmann is the only thing that's
my main
interested.
draw. And Tom Hanks.
Sure, of course.
The Baz Luhrmann and the Tom Hanks of it all. But again, I'm probably going to see Top Gun a 5th time. So here we'll go. We'll see what happens. I'll give it another $1 billion. So yeah, that is a big news for the box office this weekend. Very, very good sign for things crawling back to, not normalcy, but the new normal, as they keep using as a buzzword. We also found out that Emma Roberts has joined Dakota Johnson and Sydney Sweeney in the Madam Web movie. Emma Roberts is from Scream, from a number of other things, and it's interesting because this is now a very young skewing cast for one of the oldest comic book characters. So I'm really curious what they do with this story.
Maybe it's like not a old character. Maybe it's
I think they're doing the younger take on her.
Yeah, this is going to be like...
In canon, there is a younger her. Right. It's just really interesting that Madam Web is one of the few characters known for being
people
old.
Aren't born old, so there's always a younger version of everybody in canon, Coy.
Spoiler alert, people aren't always born old.
Ages work.
This is what I learned today in Coycast, that people aren't always ever born old.
I get that in comics, Peter Parker has been a teenager for 45 years, Coy.
What is time?
But
Madam Web, born 90. I'm impressed. So we'll see how that goes. And speaking of Marvel is officially doing a Hall H panel. I was very surprised at this because in September, D23 is not that far from July.
Right.
So they're coming back swinging. I think they're going to announce some probably Fantastic Four and X-Men news. And then I think they're going to show stuff at D23, or they might do one and then the other at D23. If for my money, I'd say Fantastic Four is a safe bet for Comic-Con. And then they're either going to save X-Men for their own panel, or we'll get a little rumbling.
Right.
But I'm excited.
I have SDCC fears.
Oh.
They're multi-layered.
What do you got?
And I don't just mean about a fear of being around all those people, that is the core fear. But I don't think that I caught my address change quick enough.
No.
I think my passes are going to the old apartment, and I don't know whether they'll be forwarded or not.
Did you get your USPS set up so you get mail forwarded?
Yes, but
do you have to sign for them?
I don't know. And that's because I think that they're like a special thing. Like the Pro Passes aren't just like, I don't know. And maybe it's fine. Maybe they'll get caught into the mail forwarding and they'll end up here. But I am a little worried. I did go into my account and into my Comic-Con account and change my address, but it explicitly said like the deadline for your final address for bad shipments is May 31st.
Oh no.
And I was like, well, that was not recently.
That was not a thing I did and caught. Well, yeah. What about people that move the entire month of June?
I
like you.
You know what? I can hope, but I have a fear.
Okay,
also, I mean, you know, I still don't know. I want my pass so that I have the option to go.
Right.
Still don't know whether I'll be able to go, but
it's a lot.
It would be nice to just, even if it's for a day, even if we wake up early Saturday morning or Sunday morning and just drive out and just spend the day, like I'm still fine with that. Like I would love that. But
I've got a panel on Thursday and I'm trying to get 2 more, but as of now I'm there the weekend, but I'm only working Thursday, which is kind of nice. But yeah, I'll be attending the Marvel panel.
We gotta figure out how to get Alexandra, because I don't think that she got her pass. Did not get pushed in the pandemic like mine did.
Got it.
Because of the expiration date, so she doesn't have the Pro Pass like usual.
Mess.
So we don't know. Yeah, it's a whole mess.
Guys, Comic-Con. It's complicated. Marvel's going though.
So soon.
Speaking of Comic-Con, Harley Quinn, very exciting show. Love the Harley Quinn show. Is getting a season 3 early screening at Comic-Con. They're playing the first 2 episodes down at SDCC.
That's fun.
Very exciting. They're going to be releasing the first trailer for season 3. There was a little like teaser they made for fandom, but they're releasing the first trailer probably within the week, because usually when they announce stuff like that, sets up a trailer.
Sure.
But SDCC is going to have the first 2 episodes screened, which is very exciting to me. And House of the Dragon, the Game of Thrones prequel, is going to have a Hall H panel as well. Don't know if you're a Game of Thrones guy.
Still haven't seen it yet. Seems like a lot of work.
A lot of TV.
Seems like a lot of time.
It's a lot of violence.
It's more just it's going to be my favorite thing.
Yeah, you're a fantasy guy.
I'm a fantasy nerd, and the fact that I've avoided it pre HBO Max and HBO Go, I got HBO Go. The final season was when the final season was airing.
Yeah,
and so it was like I have to catch up, and it was just you know
you
how
can watch
works.
it chronologically now. You can watch House of the Dragon, and then you can watch Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
You can watch it the way it's being aired.
Sure,
it's an option. So that's going to be at Hall H. So Hall H, the confirmed is Marvel and House of the Dragon. So HBO is going to be there. And I am very excited for potentially DC to show up, because if HBO is going, that gives me some hope that DC may have some sort of Warner panel now that DC Discovery and all that craziness is coming. So I don't know. Hall H could feel like 2018, 2017 again. I do feel like this might be the last big Comic-Con, and then it's going to go back to small, because I do think it's going to be a celebration of like, okay, we're back.
We can come back.
And then DC is going to go to fandom. Marvel's going to go to D23.
I think that they are aware that this feels like a pendulum swing event, so they're going to not want to miss it.
Exactly.
In attempts for advertising dollars.
That's why I think Hall H has Marvel and D23 has Marvel.
Yeah, maybe. But also, they're going to be a part of a thing that's going to make so many people sick.
Yeah.
Like the 2 weeks after Comic-Con, we are gonna the nerd community is going to be
devastated.
Is going to just be absolutely out of commission.
I'm actually considering I'm gonna self-quarantine the 5 days after, and then I'm gonna try to schedule like really light the next 10 days just in case. Like I'm already thinking late July, early August, I'm gonna have to brace, because
I'm not like I have gotten out of like the hardcore masking for stuff like in our building, like when we walk around like the lobby of the building. Like I'm like, like it's really small percentage of people in the area. Small, it's not a high populated area. But I do feel like if we do go, like that's going to be a double N95 kind of day.
I can't even imagine what
like
that's
going to be. Pretty aggressive.
Yeah. I'm trying to brace now, because I honestly am considering it just being like, I'm going to get it. And if I don't, great.
if all of the years to like cosplay as somebody in a thick plastic mask.
God, this is the year. If
You know
you're
what
a
I mean?
cosplayer,
like thick plastic mask.
dress as Ghost from Ant-Man. Just wear a gas mask.
Because even then the droplets will get through.
Then you got to wear the mask underneath, but you have that room.
Oh yeah,
you got
okay.
all that space.
Sure.
Yeah, you don't.
What are some other? We should do a whole special that's just about
With
like
the week before Comic-Con, we should do the best COVID costumes.
COVID costume. So if you're not in the Discord, go
Plague
to
Doctor.
koicast.com, click the Discord link. Tell us in the Discord who you think are the best costumes for COVID compliance.
Darth Vader. Wear the mask right under it. Sounds like you've already got, hospital in. I'm into it. Send us things, Discord. So then let's see. We talked about the House of the Dragon. I also want to announce before we get into Miss Marvel, because Jake has finally started watching Miss Marvel, Morbius, yes, The Last Vampire, is at Blockbuster. The last Blockbuster has officially received 16 copies of Morbius. And I just wanted to say that's a sentence I never thought I'd see, never thought I'd feel, never thought I'd acknowledge, but it's just ridiculous enough. I wanted you guys to know there are 16 copies of Morbius at a Blockbuster.
On what?
On DVD and Blu-ray.
So is it 16 of each?
I think it's 8 of each. And
8
as
DVDs?
as of press, 6 were taken out. 6 Blu-rays were rented.
All right. So as someone who worked in Blockbuster and remembers very diligently the turnover schedule.
Yep.
I'm going to say that if there are 8 DVDs, that in less than 2 weeks, 6 of those DVDs are going to be on the PV DVD section, the previewed DVD section.
For sale.
For very little money.
$5 Morbius, worth it. Worth it. Get your Jared Leto on. All right, and now let's talk about some Miss Marvel, because I do believe last time we met, you hadn't seen it yet.
No, we watched the first 3 episodes this week.
Okay, got it. If I remember correctly, you're about to start, and I was really excited because I really enjoy it. What are your thoughts?
So I am not getting it.
What?
I am not getting what everybody else is getting from this show.
Okay,
and I
genuinely shocked.
I feel really bad because I also didn't like Captain Marvel, and now people are gonna be like, well, you just don't like the Marvel.
This guy doesn't like
with
women.
ladies. Yeah, exactly. I think that Marvel is trying to subvert doing something that they shouldn't do and shooting themselves in the foot. I think they're trying to not tell another origin story.
Okay.
Because this has been the most rushed. I mean, this show is moving at such a clip that I don't care about anybody or anything. There's
I thought
no
3 moved wicked slow.
No, that's 7 wickeds, by the way. All right.
At least.
It's so literally the fact that we got through the first 3 episodes and we were like, she's gotten so far from where she was in episode 1, but we have no information still. And it's like the learning curve for the powers was absurd. The forced drama of things that this is going to be spoiler free. We'll talk more about this in spoiler form
we'll go
on the
Patreon.
Spoiler, yeah. But like there are characters who I think we were supposed to be surprised about things, but we haven't spent any goddamn time with them.
Is it maybe because you're watching it all at once, not week to week?
No,
Okay.
no. I
Okay.
think it's because it's poorly written. I think that this
You're the
feels
first
to me,
person I know that doesn't like it.
this feels like a DC movie. The problems that I have with the like this feels like the same problems with like Wonder Woman, where
Okay.
it's like they're just saying, oh, we're gonna do these beats, and the audience is gonna fill in all the things because they know how they're supposed to
Are you
feel.
talking about 84, the first Wonder Woman?
Both.
Okay.
I had the same problem with both
Okay,
of them. I mean,
understood.
84 was way worse as far as logic problems, but like for the most part, it's that same problem where like the beats aren't, I don't know, like Aquaman has the same problems where it's like there's a lot of tell, don't show instead of show, don't tell. And I'm struggling with the characters' decisions because we haven't spent enough time with them or at least seen them have conversations or go through things that make me believe what they're doing is the thing they would do. In fact, the closest thing I have to this probably is my issue with Afterlife, with the Ghostbusters, where I was like, it feels like there are entire scenes missing, entire conversations missing. And I'm really bummed because I love this character. And I think that the change of her origin is good for a TV show.
Yeah.
But I don't think they're doing it better than the comics did the other origin. Like I'm all about lore, man. Give me fucking lore. I want lore for days.
Right.
That's what I loved about Shang-Chi was that it felt unconnected from anything else. And I felt like I want to spend so much time in that magical land.
Yeah.
Like that lore is everything to me. they have established an idea for lore in this, but they've rushed from point A to point B to point L so rapidly that the lore to me just seems kind of like I don't care. With that said, performances have been great for the material that I don't think has been a little bit weak. Specifically, her parents. Oh my God. Her parents are so good on this show. And like, in fairness, her mother is a very unlikable character, but the actress is outstanding.
Because she makes the unlikable likable. You're still interested in her. Like, you're never like, she's not a villain.
And also, like, I don't know, like, and this is speculatory, and I don't think this is spoilery, but like, I think we're supposed to think like she has some secrets. You know, like the mom knows some shit that we don't know.
Sure.
But yeah, I don't know. It's just, it's. I
think Kamala's incredible too.
She's great.
Aman Vellani, like for her debut.
But I will say though, there are times where it does seem like she's lost because of the material. It's not her fault. All right. So when we saw the previews for this, do you remember what my concern was? Was that it was going to feel like all of the like Edgar Wrightisms were going to seem like old people trying to be like Edgar Wright?
Sure.
The exact opposite is the issue. That's the best part of this show. The intricate
text and visuals.
Yeah, like the integration of technology is fantastic. Her like the opening sequence of this whole show is outstanding. Yeah. Like it's so cool. All of the fun visual things, all the Edgar Wrightisms are the things that are working flawlessly. But instead, the writing seems like old people writing the way that they think teenagers talk. And I think that there are some scenes where I go like, oh, this girl like this. And I don't blame the actress at all whatsoever, because I don't know that I can't think of anybody who would deliver them even better. Sure. But I'm bummed because this is the first time ever that Marvel has had a 1-2 punch of two things that I just do not like.
Oh, wow. Yeah, with Doctor Strange.
Because generally it's been like, well, I wasn't a fan of this, but this thing was great.
Back. Yeah.
This has been now a 1-2 punch of things that I was like, did not like multiverse. And now I'm hoping that they can stick the landing, or at least like pull me in. Yeah. But and I was surprised that Alexandra agreed with me about this, because I thought this was going to be a thing, because I feel like, she's a little bit easier on pretty much any women-led story, especially one where a woman who's suffering any sort of abuse, and what her mother is doing to her is incredibly abusive. Kamala Khan is being body shamed and just shamed in general for being anything she is. Like, her mom is one of those characters who you just go like, oh, this woman is the worst kind of parent. But even Alexandra was like, yeah, like everything is just happening at us, and there's no real like emotional weight or stakes to a lot of it. And in fact, if I can summarize my complaints, the people are great. The dramedy is working. Every element of sci-fi and fantasy and superheroist is not working at all whatsoever. That is the stuff that it just feels completely rushed and completely like crammed into this fun story about teenagers. In fact, I'm so much more invested in her best friend.
Dude, she's so good. That actress.
Like, her best friend in Mosque, like running for that position. Yeah. I'm so much more invested in that than I am about this woman.
Where's that show?
This young girl, and like finding this magical thing that like, and it's, I don't know. Also, I'm just struggling to buy a lot of the science fiction in a way that makes me go, okay. And this is sad because we've had 10 years of Marvel science fiction, and them delivering it well.
This is like the 35th property.
It's not, in my opinion, it's rough. All right, it's real rough, and I'm upset that it's rough.
Yeah,
I was hoping that Ms. Marvel would make me like the Captain Marvel character and that mythos work better, because I'm hoping that by Marvel's like you're in firing on all cylinders.
And Nia DaCosta is an incredible director who's doing Marvels that like can make that.
Yeah.
Well, I think you'll like Thor, if that helps.
That's right. That's the next one.
That's the next one. Yeah, and that's in 2 weeks, and you're a big Taika head.
Yeah. But man, I'm just it's not working for us.
All right. I wanted to know.
The show comes out on Tuesday at midnight on the West Coast, right?
Yeah. So episode 4 will be out by the time people hear this.
You guys probably have seen episode 4 already.
We have not. Yeah. So, all right. Well, I was curious about Jake's thoughts. We're going to ask you, fair co-hosts, call back in a couple weeks. It'll be not next week's show, but the following week. I want to know what you were thinking of Miss Marvel.
And obviously we have the Discord to chat all about it, which I haven't been mentioning it because, I don't want to fight with anybody, because I feel like I'm alone. I feel like everybody I know loves it.
You're the first person I know, to be honest.
It's real. It feels like, I don't know. It feels like what it's reminding me of? It's reminding me of the non Marvel or DC property superhero boom of television from years ago. Like The Cape and those sorts of shows that were not bad by any means. Because I don't think it's like really bad. It's just
not up to the
it's not up to what we've come to expect from these sorts of properties.
The high bar that is Marvel.
Yeah.
All right.
With that said, needle drops for days.
Oh man, the music in this is incredible.
Really
Mace
good.
and MIA in one show.
It's real fun.
It's a good time, I think. But I once again, which is one of the reasons I like doing a show with you, is because we disagree. But whenever we disagree, I can at least hear where you're coming from, to the point where I'm like, I don't have that effect.
I think that if in the Patreon only pod, if we dive into some more fine details,
I'm sure
there are little things I think you're gonna go, oh, okay, maybe I get that.
But that's what I'm saying, is like, I can hear your broad strokes and go like, I see where you're coming from. It didn't affect me that way, but that's nice.
Yeah.
All right, well, we're going to turn it over to you, dear co-hosts. We got some patron-only calls. You can call whatever you want at the number 818-794-0722. But you, fair callers, let's get hot and hotline heavy.
Hey guys, Harold from Alabama, at Harold L. Stokes and everything. Jake, you have talked about many times, say, like, you love Arthurian stuff. And so it was especially surprising to me, as someone who also does, that you disliked Aquaman so much. Because, like, they just went for a wild, wacky Arthurian tale, and I respect it. So I have a challenge for both of you. What is a movie that you thought the other would love, but apparently they hate? All right, I'll hang up on this.
Okay, there have been so many of these, I feel like, but nothing's jumping to mind, because like there's been like mumble comedies that I thought you'd love and didn't, and I think there's been like, I remember
mumble comedies. Is that what you're referring to? That brand?
It's like mumblecore. Yeah, mumble comedies. But then there's also like I think you thought I'd really dig that Cannibal musical.
All right, Cannibal the musical is definitely up there.
I think that's one for you to.
That's up there. I'm actually trying to look. I'm going to go to your profile on Letterboxd, our trusted Letterboxd, and see if
Letterboxd at Jake Lloyd Bacon and at Coy Jandro.
At Coy_Jandro. He doesn't even know his own Letterboxd. I don't even know.
That's why I got Jake.
I swear to God, you need to start paying me as your agent.
I mean, frankly, Letterboxd needs to start paying both of us, because we talk about this more than anything else.
By the way, I'm gonna become a patron of Letterboxd. There's certain, because by the way, this specific thing, if we upgraded from pro to patron, we'd be able to find, because one of the patron perks is that you get to also see the movies that you are the most differ from.
Oh, that's cool.
In populace. So I think I'm just gonna cough up the money. They're such a great app. I'm gonna give them the money. I don't care. It's not so much that
they should be paying us, Jake.
Yeah, but no, they shouldn't.
We're an open-ended ad for them.
They're doing good things.
They're doing good things. I appreciate them.
All right, so let me see. The question is can I sort? Yeah, here we go. So I'm gonna go to you, and I'm gonna sort by Koi's lowest rated first to see if there's anything that I love.
Okay,
that's what I'm gonna do.
So I go to your films.
Yep.
Oh shit, we've watched almost the exact same amount of movies, by the way. I'm at 70 or at 73.
Wow.
Oh wait, next week?
Yes, not next week. In 2 weeks from now.
Next time we record.
We are going to have to do our all-time stats catch-up, because it'll be the end of June, so we will have made it through our
6 months of the year.
Yep. We said that in June we were going to do our all-time.
Yeah.
And then in January is when we do our annual.
But we can do a little zhuzhin,
because we're both going to be curious.
It's going to be fun.
Alrighty, let's see
films
here.
And you did your rating?
Yeah, I sorted by your rating for your rating lowest. Yeah, that way I can immediately see what's up here and be like, "Oh, you did not like this? I thought you would love this." Okay. There's one right off of the bat.
What do you got?
That I just assumed you would absolutely love because of how old you are.
Well, excuse me for what do you got?
How do you not love, even ironically, Rollerball 2002, the remake of Rollerball?
Because it was advertised to me, not ironically, and I went and saw it at the ripe old age of 14 in theaters.
All right. In fairness, I also give it a low rating, but it's one of the low rating movies that I have to low rate for my scale, but not for reality. I love it.
Yeah, I respect that.
Okay, let's see a movie that I thought you would. All right, here we go. Still, this is the biggest one. You give this still 1 star, and it is out fucking standing. Snowpiercer,
garbage.
You are
so many logical fallacies.
Wrong.
The weed, the drug train being right next to the conductor train is so dumb. There's so many logical fallacies in a train being able to do any of the things the storyline requires. There's so many bad moments of
moments ago you were saying, yeah, Ms. Marvel is making perfect sense to me.
Miss Marvel isn't trying to be like an Oscar film.
This is I don't think Snowpiercer
was trying to be all highbrow.
No, it was not. It was ultra stylized and bizarre and weird. Highbrow. There was an entire scene that took place in the dark where the dude just murdered a bunch. Like this was
didn't succeed.
Chaotic good.
John Wick is chaotic good.
Oh my goodness.
Snowpiercer is an attempt at something.
Snowpiercer is probably the first one of your low-rated movies that I would think you would love.
Okay, I got
that
one.
I do also love.
Always Be My Maybe. I thought you'd really dig. Always Be My Maybe is a rom-com. It's very much your kind of comedy. I think generally it's a sweet story. It's very simple. I did, however, when we get to the Patreon only pod, watch a rom-com that you praised highly and loved it as much as you did. I'm excited to talk about it.
Oh, I'm
because this is your genre. So
right.
I expected. Now I gave it a 2.5 star. I didn't think it was great, but I didn't think it was 1 star.
Right. Yeah, I'm trying to look through here. Oh yeah, you also really dislike Kingdom of Heaven, which I love so very much.
That one we've talked
Ridley
about.
Scott. Yeah, that's got to be your one on your rewatch because we did that. We did that Patreon only pod a couple months back where we talked about You Got It Wrong, where we kind of did this a little bit.
Yeah, but in longer form.
And
I agreed. You
need to add that to the rewatch list.
Kingdom of Heaven.
Because boy, do I love it.
You were very wrong about SWAT, by the way. SWAT is exceptional.
Yeah, we did this.
That's literally
that's one of the ones that's on my list. Yeah. Out of all of these, there are ones that I go like, oh, okay.
But it's just a matter of taste.
I thought you would like this. Like, there's some things on here that I'm surprised that you gave such low ratings. But at the same time, I go, yeah, but a lot of people also give that low ratings. But I think, honestly, out of everything, the Snowpiercer is the top of my list.
And honestly, Kingdom of Heaven, I can say like I need to rewatch it.
It's been a long time, yeah.
But I can stand by my Snowpiercer. So it's interesting that like also your take on the Underworlds, I do have a struggle with. I
like them, like that.
I
they're
love
decent?
Underworld. No, Underworld Evolution and Underworld Awakening being 1.5 star films.
Oh, because the
drop off.
Oh yeah, because they leaned away from what made the original. I think I remember doing this whole thing on the Patreon not that long ago. But yes, they leaned away from the thing that made the movies good.
Yeah. I need to revisit.
And then they came back to a good one when they decided to just do like a prequel when it was all olden times. I was like, yeah, that was the best.
That was the thing you did. I also think you rate Sausage Party a little harshly, but I also was I saw that exactly correctly.
The joke got so old so quick. It was so hard to finish. There are rare comedies that I have struggled finishing.
89 minutes.
Oh my goodness. Anyways, well,
it doesn't happen often, but I like that overall.
I do want to say though, Harold, Aquaman wishes it was Arthurian.
Big Aquaman lover.
The trident in the stone, it is not.
Hey, Coy and Jake, this is Blake from Vegas. I go by Weirwood on Twitter and in Discord. So, for me, one of my favorite Gotham characters is actually Mother Panic, created by Joey Hauser and Jim Kruger. And one of the things that turned me on to the character was, honestly, the weird art style that her comic was drawn in. At first, I wasn't sure if I would like it or not, but as I started to read the comic and really see exactly how much kind of the chaos of the art matched the chaos of the character, I really fell in love with it. But I have had art kind of turn me away from a comic. Joker, Harley, Criminal Sandy, which Corey recommended all the time. It took me a lot of work to work through the art style, the photorealism, to just the normal black and white that it's drawn in other times. What's a comic or a show or a video game or anything where the art style has had a pretty significant impact on whether you liked it or didn't? Thanks for the show, guys. Really enjoy it. Have a great day.
I love this question because it is a huge impact on my experience with, even live action sometimes, like the stylized choices sometimes, dissuade my journey. But especially in animation, I have talked, if you listen to this podcast regularly, like ad nauseum about the fact that I have a hard time connecting with animation in general, like the eye line to the character. And I think personally, if it is something that is uncanny valley-ish, it throws me right off. If it's something that's overly stylized in either live action or animation, it throws me off. But there are exceptions, like Into the Spider-Verse is very stylized, but it is my sensibility. So that one totally works.
It's also a hodgepodge of different styles.
Yeah.
So it doesn't necessarily fall under one umbrella.
And that kineticness worked for me.
Right.
But I would say like a lot of animation, it's hard for me to engage with TV animation that looks cheap. Like if you can see what things are going to move in the frame because they're shaded differently, stuff like that. Like I'm anticipating everything.
So as far as like animation, as far as motion, I have a hard time with TV CG.
Yes.
It's one of the reasons why I've never been able to get into that Star Wars show everybody loves.
Clone Wars, I think.
Clone Wars.
Yeah.
The Clone Wars style is something that for some reason there's a disconnect.
Just the inexpensive CGI looks and feels it.
There's something that's a little bit rough about that for me. Also, like, I just struggle with like anime style. Like, I've never been good with the amount of times that I've had people try to get me into Cowboy Bebop. Because it's everybody's like, you're gonna like, this is so your sensibility. Like, this is totally a Jake fucking show.
Yeah.
And it's so hard for me to get
past that,
which is weird because I think that I don't struggle with things like the Invincible, like the Amazon Invincible, which is probably the newest thing that's like that's. But I think that is like an Americanized version of what Japanese animation is.
Yeah, because Japanese animation, I don't struggle so much with the animation as much as the recurring style jokes, if that makes any sense. Like the sweat bead or the like falling over or like the really pervy character. Like there's always these tropes and I'm like, that's not my thing.
I did always joke around where like any anime that has a character who's just shaking, like they're constipated,
drives me nuts.
Is really hard for me.
Or the character
to not
like
laugh at.
Yeah, it makes a joke, then they like fall over, and people are like, "That's just anime."
Right.
That's not my thing.
That it doesn't bug me because it's less. That's more about the animation, less about the art style.
Yeah,
the animation, like for example, there's plenty of that in like I always forget his name, the Studio Ghibli guy, Miyazaki.
Oh, Miyazaki. I was so confused. Miyazaki.
Like this, but I like that. I don't mind that because that's just an animation style. I meant specifically like the art style, like the style of the character design and that kind of stuff. But as far as comics, this is a weird specific thing and it's a huge mainstream comic. But I remember struggling so much in the early issues of Walking Dead when I forget who was the second artist.
Sure.
I don't remember. Do you remember?
I didn't read Walking Dead.
You never read the Walking Dead books?
No. I love Kirkland too, which is funny.
What the fuck?
Yeah,
You never
I
read
work
the
with
Walking
Kirkland.
Dead?
I've never read Walking Dead. Don't tell him.
Oh my
Nobody tell
God.
Kirkland.
So I want to say that issue 6 or 5.
They change artists.
The artist changed. Like it was pretty early on.
Okay.
Because I remember like I read the whole first trade, and then I think like maybe 1 or 2 issues of the second trade looked like the first one, and then all of a sudden it changed, but it changed pretty drastically.
Got it.
It changed to like a more like Steve Dillon, but with heavy-handed lines. I don't know comic book artists. People are screaming at me.
Steve Dillon is like very specific.
But Steve Dillon has like imagine that style with like more heavy-handed outlines, almost like the artist who we've talked about when I was rereading Ultimate X-Men, who has like that really heavy-handed.
Chris Pichello, I think it was.
Maybe, who has like the really dark edge. All the edges are kind of heavy-handed. Whereas whoever the original artist was on Walking Dead, it was more about like the thin kind of detail that was like. It felt more like a horror book,
sure,
and less more like a polished comic book.
Yeah,
and then eventually it led to that. It looked more superhero.
Got it.
In the transition, I remember that was so hard for me because I loved it. I love the style of those first few books so much. That was one of those books where I picked up when I was just getting back into reading comics in like 2008 or 9.
So Tony Moore did 1 through 6. Charlie Adler did 7 through 193.
There it is.
That's what probably happened was he was willing to do Infinite.
So there it was. And I don't, by the way, I don't dislike Charlie. What's his name?
Adler.
I don't dislike his art in that book at all whatsoever. It was just jarring.
Sure.
Because
he does a very, very thick line work.
And by the way, did I nail that? Literally 6 issues?
No, that's
when
nicely
do I
done.
ever get anything right about comics ever?
You loved that first trade so much. You held on to that.
I really want to like a little bit of credit.
Mark this. Getting comic book accuracy from a decade ago.
This was the one
Jake
time.
Lloyd Bacon.
The one time in the history of this program.
Deep cut.
I knew something about comics that you didn't.
And you immediately knew it to the point of like calling your first trade problem.
But anyways, yeah. So, and I think those trades are 4 issues each.
Yeah.
So I remember at some point, and that book was one of those books that I got into when I was just getting back into comics. And I don't remember what else I was reading. I might have been reading Preacher, ironically, Steve Dillon. There you go. I was reading something else, and I went to a comic shop at the time I was living in Florida, and I was just like, "Hey, I haven't read comics in, I don't know, maybe I was like a 6 or 7 year hiatus at that point." And I was like, "You have any suggestions?" And the guy at the counter was like, "Do you like zombies?" And I was like, "Not really, no."
Read it anyway.
And he was like, "Well, this is like the #1 book right now. Like, check it out." And I think that they were on like the 3rd trade.
Okay.
Right? 3 or 4 trades, whatever year this was. And he was like, pick up the first trade. You know, it's only $10. It was $9.99 for the first trade. I guarantee you'll like it. And if not, come back and maybe, like let me know. And like the guy was really cool. And I literally came back the next day and I bought the like whatever left trades there were. So I think I bought like 2 through 4 or whatever they were up to.
Yeah.
And so I had read it all so abruptly that the change in artist was very jarring. But that does happen to me sometimes.
You know what I've noticed is inkers. When I like an artist and then the inker changes, or I follow an artist from one book to another, and like people don't appreciate how much an inker shapes the artist.
Who's that one inker who like people blame for like ruining all of Jack Kirby's art?
Oh, I know you're talking about. I don't remember
there's
the name,
one inker
who
there's
like a legendarily
people like hate when they work with
because it's
Jack
Kirby. But like Brian Hitch, for example, I liked on Ultimates, but he's been drawing Venom and I can't hang. And I assume it's him being a little too fast.
He's been inking.
No, Brian Hitch is the artist.
Right.
Whoever's inking the Venom stuff, it's tanking the art for me. And likewise, John Romita Jr., one of my favorite artists of all time, when he's not working with Scott Hanna, his work looks. I think they're just so simpatico that when one of them rushes or it's a different inker, it just trashes the art.
Right. Well,
so it's interesting when you see books that because I think you're familiar. So it's almost an Uncanny Valley thing.
Yeah.
Where you're like, I love this. What
it looks different. Something looks different.
And that could have been why you felt those 6 to 7 things.
Especially in a book like Walking Dead, where also the characters kind of all look the same. Yeah. They're not one, it's not in color.
Yeah.
2, they're not in superhero outfits.
And Steve Dillon had that where like a lot of his characters look the same. So when they changed.
Yeah, there's a lot of people I know that aren't a fan of his work.
I have to, depending on the book. I like him on Punisher, I like him on Preacher. I don't love him on like Spider-Man.
Right.
I don't know if he has.
I think he did X-Men. He did X-Men once, and I remember thinking, why does Wolverine look like Preacher?
That was my thing. Yeah, it's if he's on a book that I already knew him from, like his Punisher is the Punisher.
Right.
But if he draws Peter Parker like Punisher, I'm like, what's happening?
Yeah, and there is one book that I do remember thinking that like I don't know if I did this, but I felt like if you would have held
100%
Wolverine and Preacher, or what's his character's name? Preacher, John,
Jack, no,
something like that. Anyway,
Jesse Custer.
Jesse, there it is, and you hold them literally side by side. It's like, Preacher with Wolverine's haircut.
Yeah, John Romita Jr. had that problem for a bit too, where like Cyclops and Peter Parker were the same
character.
Yeah. Great question, man. We ran off on this one for a bit, but yeah, I definitely have those things.
Yeah, and I definitely think there are some times where an art style makes a thing better as well.
Oh, 100%.
Where I go like, man, well, no, because Spider-Verse was good regardless.
Meaning
like, you know what, this maybe wasn't exceptional, but I enjoyed looking at it so much. There are definitely some, I think that falls more into like the shows that are like quote for kids that parents like, you know, like there's a lot of animation that's kind of in that world where it's like, well, even if the show isn't great, it's really fun to look at.
That's fair.
You know,
and there's comics like that too, where the writing can be, I think it's an art in the comic book medium will be the gateway where if it doesn't work for you, the writing, you can't save it.
Right.
Where the art can save writing can't save art. Comics.
There have been a few comics that I've purchased where I've been like, well, this has lost me.
Yeah.
But God, look how lovely this. I mean, literally Crush Gen Comics. I've talked about them a few times. Crush Gen Comics is some of those beautiful books I've ever seen with stories that are incomprehensible.
Sometimes you write in crayon. Sometimes you draw beautifully and write in crayon.
Coy, producer Jake, it's Travis from Florida. Was going through the Toy Story movies, and I was wondering, is there a trilogy, a franchise that didn't need a 4th movie, was fine as a trilogy, but you got one anyway, and it kind of soured the franchise for you? Kingdom of the Crystal Skull notwithstanding, we all know that's fucking garbage, and if you like it, that's your opinion, art is subjective, all that stuff, but for me and most people, it's not. CGI monkeys and Shia Boots is not good. But more recently, Toy Story 4. I felt less than fulfilled. I was like, cool, Toy Story 1, great movie. Toy Story 2, better. Toy Story 3, why? Why are you doing this to me? But then Toy Story 4, I was just like, it was a movie. Movies that were fine as a trilogy did not need a sequel.
Travis, always good to hear from you, man. And Weirwood, it was great to hear from you, dude. I see you on the internets all the time. To answer your question, I personally am in the school of thought that it is very rare for any sequel to impact my take on the first. Personally, I separate art pretty cleanly. Like, I think Terminator 1 and 2 are 2 of the best films of all time, but my God, do I loathe the rest. And likewise, I enjoyed Toy Story 4, but I don't actually comprehend people that are like, just don't watch 4. Like, I don't get the, it ruined or sullied the other thing, because it's like when they remake a movie, people are like, oh my God, why remake this? I'm like, well, then don't just watch the original. So personally, I don't have that problem. So I don't know how much I can answer this. I will say that Jurassic Park, kept going and Terminator kept going.
But his thing is, it's the trilogy was good.
Yeah. So
and Jurassic Park.
That's not true.
The trilogy
that's
wasn't
not true.
great. No.
So I'm trying Terminator's not a good trilogy.
The third one's not great. Second one, I think this is hard because generally, if a trilogy was good,
they put a bow on it.
Then they put a bow, or no, then like, I don't know. This is a tough one. I'm struggling to think of movies that had a fourth. I mean, one could argue maybe Pirates. But
I liked it.
But even with Pirates, like I like the fourth one.
And I need to rewatch Matrix 4 because it was a fever dream because I had COVID.
That's
in fairness
probably
to
the best way to watch the Matrix.
I mean, it was an experience.
Movies that were a trilogy that got a fourth. Die Hard.
Die Hard 4 is really bad. There we go. That's a good one.
Die Hard 4, and well, you don't like the first ones.
I don't, but I can acknowledge how they're likable and how the fourth one isn't. I can give that to
Die Hard 3 is okay.
Yeah.
I don't dog on that either.
That's the Sammy Jackson, or is that the second one?
I don't remember.
Either way, the three are fine.
Yes,
and the fourth one is not.
Right.
And then it got a fifth. That's even worse.
You know what? Rocky.
I like Rocky 4.
I mean,
it's a montage of a montage.
Listen,
I got to respect that.
And you know what? I kind of don't disagree with you. And that's the problem is I don't know that it killed the franchise. I don't think it killed the franchise. Also, nothing killed the franchise if they made a fifth one.
And Creed's coming out soon.
Few things get 4 movies without getting 5th movies. If they've gone to the trouble of making 4.
That's a good point.
They've gone to the trouble of making 4. They're going to keep making these sons of bitches.
Yeah. I mean, Lightyear's out right now, which is like, Toy Story adjacent.
Oh, you know what? I know because we use Letterboxd all the time. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to Letterboxd collections.
Ooh, and look at fourths.
And then I'll be able to tell which ones are like a fourth.
Like, I think there's 3 Despicable Me's, and then this is the second Minions, which makes it 5. I don't know if that counts as a trilogy, but here we are.
Let's see. Stats overall, all time, and collections. Yeah, other trilogies. I mean, Star Wars, the fourth.
Force Awakens.
Phantom Menace. Phantom Menace kind of ruined it for me.
Kind of rough. That's not actually.
I think that's my number one answer. It's probably Star Wars, and I also. Because of my age, I think I was never a hater of Jedi. Like I know a lot of people that were older than me were. I was just like, this is the best thing ever. And I still think Jedi is pretty great.
I don't dislike Batman Forever as much as most. So that one would... Oh, wait, that'd be the third one.
That was the third one. So
Batman and Robin, there's an answer. Batman and Robin, not great.
You know what? That is the ultimate answer. Schumacher's second attempt. Because here's the thing is...
Because it ended that...
Batman Forever was still not great by any means. But it made so much money and Jim Carrey made that entire thing watchable.
Yep.
Like Jim Carrey makes that movie easily watchable.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, others, like Batman and Robin is insane.
Yeah.
It is.
It doesn't make any sense.
You talk about watching Matrix as a fever dream.
It is a fever dream.
Watch Batman and Robin completely and totally healthy. You will have a fever dream.
I mean, Transformers 4.
But the third one wasn't. That franchise was dead too.
That's true.
Quest
for Peace, Superman 4.
Superman 3 was not good.
Yeah, so it seems like once they start to,
I'm trying to think. Yeah.
I like Scream 4. Jake's about to watch the Screams, which I'm very excited about.
Yeah. He brought me the sequels for me to watch, and again, I only ever saw the first one and the one with Jane Silent Bob.
And I like the Bourne Legacy more than most, so that one's tricky. Like the Jeremy Renner Bourne, I thought was perfectly fine.
I never finished it. Man, Karate Kid.
I suppose that's true.
It's tough. This is really, really tough.
Yeah, I think we've answered it adjacent.
Sure. I'm trying to scroll through really quickly here. To see anything that's I mean, Indiana Jones is
the one.
Probably he answered it with the best one out of all the things I'm seeing in collection, because most of them are
and like our rule, Indy 5 might save it. Like, if they make 4, they make 5. Indy 5's coming out next year.
Right.
That's actually interesting to look at, that if they make 4, they make 5. Like if they're not done at a trilogy, they tend to go 5 or 6.
All right. I have another one.
What do you got?
And this might be unpopular because people aren't a fan of the third one like I am.
Sure.
Men in Black.
I agree with you. I like
Men in Black 1, great. Men in Black 2, really good. Men in Black 3, perfectly
Josh
fine.
Brolin, right?
Yep. And,
I like that one.
And also Taika, and really great.
It's a good time.
Men in Black International. Oof.
That is
a tough one.
I love Tessa and Chris, and it is rough.
Yeah, that one's really, really rough. Rocky is the only one. I'm trying to see other ones that are more. Star Wars, Superman we mentioned. Twilight, man, they really had a good thing with 3.
Until
and then
4, really, really, I mean, I almost brought that up in our little star ranking a minute ago, but I was going to let you have that one.
Okay, I got one.
What do you got?
Expendables.
You know,
the fourth one's
trilogy-
not out yet, but we don't need it.
Oh boy, I didn't know they were even doing a fourth one. Here we are, society.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for the quadrilogy journey, Travis.
We tried.
Movies I haven't thought about in quite some time, like, you know, the Expendables 4, which is apparently coming soon. I'm going to give you guys some comic book love and then some Rex, and then we're going to wrap on out of here for this week, you lovelies. As you guys know, we record these every 2 weeks, but I am still a little behind on comic books because, frankly, reading the amount I do catches up to you. So I do have 2 weeks worth of recommendations, but they are from the 15th and 22nd, so it was 2 weeks ago. My favorite books from, the 8th and 15th. I have not yet read the 22nd because that would be this week's books. That's what I was meaning to say. My favorite books from the 8th were Alien number 12, Amazing Spider-Man number 3, Batman Killing Time number 4, Dark Knights of Steel number 7, DC Pride 2022, Jane Foster Mighty Thor number 1, Legion of X number 2, Poison Ivy number 1, and Time Before Time number 13 from the 15th. So 2 weeks ago. So when we're back in 2 weeks, I will hopefully be caught up to date. We've got Batgirls number 7, Captain America Sentinel of Liberty number 1, great jumping on point there. Iron Man number 20, Kill Lock Artisan Wraith number 4, Naomi season 2 number 4, Radiant Black number 15, Seven Sons number 1, Superman Son of Kal-El. I don't know what number that is. I cannot read my writing. The Marvels number 11 and Wolverine number 22 are my favorite books of the week. And this week, the previews I did not get to in time, so I'm going to read you publisher by publisher instead of alphabetical order. From Image Comics for the week of June 29th, I'm going to be picking up Department of Truth number 19. Hell of a book, as you guys know. Very excited about that one. Also be picking up Public Domain from Chip Zdarsky, now finally available in print. Righteous Thirst for Vengeance number 9 will also be picking up. That book has been incredible the whole time. I recently fell off of What's the Furthest Place from Here. Wasn't quite for me, but that issue 7 is available if that's your cup of tea. Over from Boom Studios, we've got Berserker number 9. That's from Keanu Reeves, number 9 of 12 of that miniseries. Loving Berserker. It is quite the journey, quite the book. Beautiful art from Ron Garney. Seven Secrets number 18 as well. Dark Horse has, let's see, Pearl number 3. Well, Pearl 3 number 2. So it's the third volume of Pearl in Roman numerals, and then it's issue 2 of that third volume, if that makes sense. Very excited about Pearl. One of my favorite series of all time. Got a giant David Mack piece of that art hanging in my place because I love Pearl so very much. Then from IDW, for all you turtle heads, we've got Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles number 130 and the hardcover collection of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, The Last Ronin. I know a lot of you guys are ride or die Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle fans. This week from Marvel, we've got Amazing Spider-Man number 4, Avengers number 57. We've got a second printing of Captain America Symbol of Truth number 1. We've got Captain America Symbol of Truth number 2 in general, which is Deadpool and Sam Wilson. That means we've got Wade Wilson and Sam Wilson, which I'm not sure has ever happened before. Now that I'm saying it out loud, I don't think those Wilsons have ever teamed up.
The Wilsons too.
The Wilsons too. I hope there's at least one joke about them being related. We've got Iron Cat number 1, which is Iron Man and Black Cat, and somehow that Black Cat book just keeps wowing me, so I'm very excited for that book. We've also got Iron Man Annual, which is a Hellcat team up, not to be confused with Black Cat. There's a lot of Iron Cat happening this week at Marvel Comics. We've got Marvel Voices Pride number 1, which is a big old trade paperback celebrating all of the LGBTQ voices over at Marvel Comics. We've got new Fantastic Four number 1 with a beautiful Neil Adams cover with a new Fantastic Four team, which happened in the 90s, and it's that team back. It's Ghost Rider, Hulk, Wolverine, and Spider-Man, so I'm pretty excited for that over there, as well as a Miss Marvel trade coming at you. We also have Sabretooth number 4. This miniseries has been okay, nothing exceptional, but solid. She-Hulk number 4, Silver Surfer Rebirth number 5, Spider-Man 2099 Exodus number 3, Star Wars Darth Vader number 24. That book is real good. We've got scrolling through the many different covers of Star Wars. Thor Lightning and Lament number 1. If you're picking up Thor right now, you can also check out Thor Saga of Gore the God Butcher trade, which is pretty much required reading for the new Thor movie because it's going to be your introduction to Gore, who is Christian Bale's character in the movie. We've got Variants number 1. Very excited about this. It's a Jessica Jones variant book. Venom Lethal Protector. Man, there's so many comics. Venom Lethal Protector number 3. Wolverine Patch number 3. Excellent number 4. X-Force 29. And finally, X-Men Red number 4. Holy comic books this week, Batman.
That's
gonna be a lot of reading.
A lot of books.
Like, I'm reading all of that.
That's, yeah. Hope that you have some time.
Remember time? How did we open this show?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm overwhelmed. There's not enough time. Oh, no, wait, guys. I didn't give you my DC Rex. Action Comics 1044.
Or more.
Batman Catwoman number 12, concluding this Batcat run, which we've been talking about since the beginning of the show.
Wow.
That Batcat title is finally concluding because of the COVID delays and everything else. Batcat number 12. Batman Beyond the White Knight number 4. DC versus Vampires Killers, a spinoff of the unbelievably good and improbably good DC versus Vampires. We've also got Batman Detective Comics number 1061, Harley Quinn number 16, Robin number 15, and finally The Swamp Thing number 14. That is so many books.
That is so many books.
Could have done the whole show just doing the pull list.
That is literally we have next week's show done.
That's it.
You've just
We're just gonna
recorded
clip this
books.
out and put it in the next. I'm tired of just reading them out loud. I haven't even read them yet.
Well, that will do it for this week's show. Those are all the books. Before we get out of here, we need to hail the current unpunchable gift horse of the month, Jacob Wood.
So not punchable.
So unpunchable. Of course, this is the last episode of June.
Oh,
so next week.
snap.
Next week, we are going to be selecting our July Unpunchable Gift Horse of the Month. If you would like to challenge Jacob for that position, you've got to become a patron over at patreon.com/KoiCast. Become a patron, support the show. You get tons of fun bonus perks, but also you get your name in the running to become an Unpunchable Gift Horse.
Yeah, we haven't talked about it in a while.
What?
The date. It's July, Jake.
It's going to be July next week.
That's why we're doing our halfway through the year 2022.
July 6th is the next episode that's coming out.
Bananas. It's after the 4th of July next time.
Yep.
This show drops.
Yep.
Wow. All right. Well, on that note, you lovelies, we will see you next week here in July. Hope your ACs work. I hope you're doing well. We'll see you then. Thanks for being here. Thanks for listening. Please do rate and review on Apple Podcasts. That's how we know that you're listening, frankly, and by running into you in public wearing KoiCast shirts, which you can get at koicast.com, because we got shirts, we got mugs, we got masks, and all of those are so delightful to see out in nature. You can also check us out on social media at KoiJandro and at Jake Lloyd Bacon. You can use hashtag KoiCast to get our attention. And if you want to be a hot and hotline caller, you can call 818-794-0722 or send voice memos to contact@koicast.com. That's 818-794-0722. And remember, it's the hot and hotline heavy call, so you get 10% hotter every time you call. Frankly, Travis, supermodel. All right, we'll see you next week right here. Same bat place, same bat channel, same bat time. Well, you listen to it, so it's whatever time you want. I'm out of excuses. We'll see you next week. Thanks for being here. Thanks for listening. Thank you, as always, to Comic Books for existing.
Hello, workers of the world. My name is James Mastriani.
And my name is Matt Newell.
And we are writers and performers and comedians and also hosts of the show Good Work, a laid-back conversational roundtable presented by the century-old newspaper, The Chief.
Yeah, we're going to be discussing labor politics, what it means to be a worker in America, and more. Everything with a pro-worker slant.
Join us and producer Jake on Good Work on Dragon Wagon Radio.
Or wherever you get your podcasts.
Wherever you get them.
Wherever you can get them.
It's Dragon Wagon.